Welcome to the Spiritually Me podcast that helps you connect with that beautiful and eternal being within you. Whether you're new to spirituality or a seasoned practitioner, this is the show for you. As someone who has struggled with my inner voice and felt unsure of how to live a life that aligns with my soul, I know how confusing it can be. That's why I created this podcast, to help others find the clarity, peace, and purpose that I have found in my own journey. So if you're craving guidance, support on your journey towards spiritual awakening and divine connection, tune into this podcast for your weekly dose of inspiration. I'm Dulce Candy, your Latina sister, and this is Spiritually Me. What's up, ladies? Hello, and welcome to a new episode of Spiritually Me with your girl, Dulce Candy. I'm super excited about today's episode because it's going to be kind of like a girl chat. I have some things that I want to share with you guys, some updates, and I need your feedback. And also, I thought about today's episode being more of like, what is God currently teaching me in my life, and sharing that with you guys. And also, I want to ask you guys, what has God, the universe, a higher power, whatever you wish to call that beautiful source energy, what is it teaching you in your life right now? It's actually one of my favorite questions that I get asked when I'm around my church girls or my spiritual community. We're always like, what is God currently teaching you? And it's really nice to hear how God is working through other people, because I feel like it always resonates with me at some level. So that's what we're going to be discussing today. But I wanted to start off today's podcast episode, first of all, just by saying thank you so much to everybody who's been listening to the podcast and supporting the podcast. And also, thank you so much for rating it 5 stars and leaving a review on Apple Podcast. That is the best way to show some love to the podcast. I love reading what you guys have to say, so I just want to say thank you so much. And I'm going to be planning out something so I can give back to you guys also for leaving a review and a comment on Apple Podcasts. So if you haven't done so, please make sure to do that if you are enjoying the show. With that being said, let's jump right into it, guys. I have a little bit of an outline. So I guess the biggest update is going to be the fact that I'm deciding to get off my antidepressant medication already. I have an appointment with my psychiatrist at the end of the month, actually, at the end of May. And I was really thinking, while I was laying down in bed last night, or early in the morning, I should say, I was really thinking about getting off my medication already, because I had such a great experience on antidepressants, and I don't want to get too much into it, guys, but I have been feeling so wonderful, and I haven't had any anxiety or depression or any low vibrational feelings, because there really has never been a reason for me to feel the way that I feel in the exterior, right? Everything in my life is flowing wonderfully at this point. And so I've been thinking about getting off of them. So I'm really excited to talk to my psychiatrist. So I will definitely update you guys with that. I've been on them since February. So it's been several months now, and I feel wonderful. But now that I feel wonderful, I want to have a conversation about, is it right for me to get off of them now that I feel like I'm at a really great place in my life? Who knows? But I just wanted to share that with you guys because I get so many DMs and questions about updates on my antidepressants and all of that stuff. So I have some podcast episodes directly just speaking about that topic. I have some YouTube videos that I will link all of that stuff down below for anyone who wants some updates. So next up, cacao training. Oh my gosh, guys, I'm so excited because this fall, I think in November, I am going to be going to Guatemala for the first time ever. I'm actually taking a solo trip by myself without my kiddos. And I'm going to Guatemala because I am going to be taking some cacao teacher training, and I'm going to be learning with the indigenous people and living in their communities and really getting a firsthand knowledge about ceremonial cacao and how I can start to offer this to women in my sweet soul community as a way to heal ourselves, our heart. It's a heart-opening medicine. If you guys don't know what ceremonial cacao is, it is a dying practice, unfortunately, even though it has been here for many hundreds of years. But yeah, it's something that I've been called to learn, and I'm really excited because I'm definitely in the season of my life where I'm just learning and saying yes to all of the inner callings of my heart. And that is one of the things that I wanted to talk to you guys about, is following those little calls and signs of our intuition and everything. So we'll talk a little bit more about that in today's episode. But I just wanted to tell you guys that I'm super excited because I'm going to Guatemala, out of the country. I've never done a solo trip. I mean, I've gone to New York and I've gone to like the East Coast and places like that. Yeah, but I've never done like a whole week by myself in a different country. So I'm really excited, a little nervous, and also I'm doing this by myself. But if anybody wants to join me that I know, join me, please. Several months ago, I booked it because as soon as I saw the opportunity and I felt called to do so, I'm like, I'm booking it right now, because if I don't, then I'm never going to go. And I feel so called to go. The thing is that I'll start to hear little voices in my head if I don't do what I want to do right away, that are going to tell me, but you're a mom, and how are you going to leave your kids for a whole week? But my hubby has it down, and no one's going to die if I'm not here. And I think it's going to be great for everybody for me to be gone for a whole week, even though I'm going to miss my family tremendously. And it's so far in advance that I'm not really feeling like the fact that I'm going to be leaving for a whole week. But I'm still really excited. And I think as a woman and as a mother and as a wife, I think it's just so important to also get some time alone. And I haven't had any time alone. The last vacation that I took was with my family. We went to Costa Rica right before the pandemic. And ever since then, we have not boarded an airplane. We haven't left the country. We haven't done anything really as far as vacations or trips outside of California. So I'm really excited to do something and to visit Guatemala, and I'm really excited. So anyways, another thing that I wanted to talk to you guys, because I need your input. You guys are so creative and like just genius people. So I want to know if you guys have any ideas for the show name. I know I want to follow my intuition and really tap into my own creativity, but I really feel called to rebrand the podcast because the name is just not resonating with me as much. You know, the show is called Spiritually Me. And I love that it just means like when we're connecting from the soul, like spiritually, like it's me spiritually. I'm connecting with you guys through my soul. So I love it in that sense. But another part of me is feeling like I just need to, it needs to be something else, and it needs to evolve and grow. And I'm really excited about a brand photo shoot and the whole new visuals and everything, and the direction that the podcast and the show is going, because it's just been so incredible. But the reason I wanted to bring this up is, one, to get your ideas. Also, if you guys have any brilliant ideas, but more so because I wanted to encourage anybody out there who wants to start a podcast, a YouTube channel, a blog, like a different kind of career path, but you're feeling stuck because it's not perfect. This is your sign to go ahead and do whatever it is that you want to do. Why? Because you don't need to be prepared. Things are going to evolve. The most important thing is to not wait for things to be perfect or the right moment. That moment is never going to come. Just go for it. Just do it, even if it's not perfect. And I think something that is also very important is to get comfortable failing in front of people and get comfortable with the idea of failing and not doing your best and learning in front of people. I think for me as a meditation teacher, it's something that I was so afraid of doing was actually teaching, because I was like, oh my gosh, like what if my community sees that I'm so new to this and that I'm not an expert yet, or that I'm not like my techniques and my you know, the things that I practice, they're not at the standard of like the other people that I look up to who also teach meditation. But I think the most important thing is to do it even if you're not ready and if you're not prepared, and things are going to evolve and change as you grow. And the most important thing is just to do it. So I wanted to bring that up for anyone who wants to start a podcast, but you're like, but I don't really know what to talk about. I don't know what to call it. Just go with the name, start recording your first episode. And as you continue the journey of whatever you're doing, you're only going to get better, and anything healthy is bound to evolve and to grow. So the more that you're working towards something that you've been wanting to do for a long time, but you're waiting for the perfect time or for a certification or qualification or for certain things to be in order, that moment is never going to come. And you're only going to be wasting your life, because tomorrow could be your last day on earth. And then you're going to live with one, maybe if it is your last day on earth, you're never going to pursue that beautiful dream of yours. And then you're depriving also the world from your beautiful gift also. So think about that too, just something that really helps me is whenever I'm about to do something that I feel really called to do, I like to take myself out of it and think about the bigger reason as to why I'm doing what I'm doing, especially if it's a big opportunity and I'm afraid or I'm really, really nervous. I like to think about, why am I doing this? I'm doing this to serve, right? To serve God in a way. To serve God, not in a way, to serve God. So I like to think about that. It's not about me. I am just the messenger, right? So just wanted to throw that out there for you guys. And that's something I wanted to say. And the next thing that I wanted to talk about, I'm looking here at my notes, my ladies. I had ceremonial cacao today. And whenever you drink cacao, it's a heart opener, and it's also a medicine that allows you to speak your truth. So I feel like I'm speaking so much today. So let me slow it down, because one of my lessons that I wanted to share with you guys, because one of the reasons why I wanted to do this podcast was to talk about the things that God has been teaching me, right? So as I mentioned, one of my favorite things that I get asked and that I ask people, and it's usually around church friends, is, what is God currently teaching you? And so I wanted to share a few things that God is currently teaching me, even though this is a podcast and I'm going to be talking a lot. We're going to start with the first one, which is speak with intention and positivity, and speak less. It's a really big lesson, because I feel like sometimes when we're speaking too much without thinking, we're actually causing harm to ourselves and the people around us. Sometimes we get so comfortable just talking, and we feel like to fill up empty space, we just need to kind of constantly have conversation or feedback or opinions, right? We feel like we need to have an opinion about everything. And I think especially if I get asked to give my opinion on something and I don't know about it, sometimes I used to feel like I would have to form some kind of opinion around something. But what I've come to realize, especially in the culture that we live today, where there's so many sensitive topics and really anything can be taken out of context, I think it's just so important to hold back our opinions and our words when it's not vital to express them. It's not about closing ourselves off and not speaking our truth and speaking what we want to say. But let me give you just a little example. I'm married. I've been married for 17 years, and sometimes I annoy my husband and my hubby annoys me. And so when I'm in that energy of I'm just annoyed today, sometimes I say things that I really don't mean. I don't mean at all. And I really had this conversation with myself and God this morning about, I just need to be quiet. I don't need to say what I'm thinking all the time, especially when it's going to potentially hurt someone that I love. And I'm really comfortable with my husband, so we say a lot of things to each other, not in a hurtful way, but we express ourselves. Every little thing that we feel, we express it. But sometimes there's things that don't need to be expressed, So if you're feeling annoyed, I'm like, okay, girl, I'm going to just be quiet. And also speaking less throughout the day, that's a really big one, speaking less. And we're going to bring it back to this book here, guys. The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. And the first agreement is be impeccable with your word. And when it comes to being impeccable with your word, it doesn't only mean keep your word. If you're going to say you're going to do something, make sure that you're a woman or a man of your word and you follow through. But being impeccable with the way that you speak to yourself. What are the words that are processing through your mind? How are you speaking to yourself? How are you speaking to your significant other, to your friends. And also, something that I had to learn in my journey that was a big lesson is when people ask me about, oh, how's so and so doing, like a loved one, if they ask me, like, oh, how is your sister doing? Or how is your mom doing? I used to be honest and kind of say, oh, they're going through a hard time right now. And it's just, they're learning things and figuring things out. But I would go a little bit deeper if it was, confidential, and I obviously don't share this information with everybody because I respect everybody's privacy, and I don't talk about my family, just to random people, or anybody in my life. But sometimes you have conversations with other people because you're concerned about another person. And so if you have the safe space to express, like, I'm really concerned about this person that is really close in my life, and this is what they're going through, and what do you think, how can I help them? The best thing that I've learned to do is to speak love and to speak life and positivity over them, even if you are concerned of them, because only God has control over whatever outcome their life is going to have. And if they want to listen to our advice, great. Sometimes we feel like we know better, and if they would just only listen to what we have to say, maybe their life is going to change. But that's not true, because we don't know why they're going through the journey that they're going through. And we also don't want to steal people from their growth. Everybody has to experience the lesson to be able to overcome it and grow from it, so they don't experience that lesson again. But I think because we love them, we want to help them, and we feel like our advice is like the best advice. But the best thing also is to just speak, like, if anybody asks you about, like, your friend or your mom or a sibling or your husband or whatever, and they're like, oh, how are they doing? And maybe they're not at the best point in their life right now. Always say something positive and uplifting about them, because our words carry energetic vibrations and energy. So they have the power to affect actual change in this reality. So the best thing we could always do is just visualize the people that we love in their highest, most beautiful, authentic, glowing, heart-centered, soul-centered, God-centered self, and speak that over them at all times. Speak it over them. Positive affirmations about the people that we love, like they're thriving, they're growing, everything that we can think of that will resonate with that person. So that is also being impeccable with your word. Not only just not speaking when you don't have to, holding yourself back also from not saying too many things, and speaking positive about yourself and the people that you love. And I also thought about something I think I read in the Bible or somewhere, but it spoke about the tongue, right? Like our word, the power of our spoken word. Also, the same mouth that we use to pray to God can't be the same mouth that we use to talk bad about ourselves, about other people, or bring people down, or do anything that's going to make someone hurt with the same tongue. Like the same tongue cannot be giving out to God and then to hatred at the same time, right? And I'm using the word God because it resonates with me, and I've been using it my whole life. But of course, I'm just talking about like just a higher power in the universe, because I do believe in a higher power. So this is just, I'm just speaking from my experience, but I know not everybody believes in that. But that's what I'm learning right now, ladies. And next thing, oh my gosh, nightmares. So I've been having nightmares, and I had no idea that nightmares actually also come from God. I always thought that they were some kind of like demonic possession or something, because I had a really horrible nightmare last night about one of my children. And the worst thing that you can think of for a mother to go through, I actually had a dream that, and I'm not even going to say it out loud, but I had this horrible nightmare about one of my kids. And it really woke me up in the middle of the night. It was 4 a.m. because I went on my iPad to search the meaning of nightmares, like the spiritual meaning of nightmares, because it really shook me to the core. And I found a pastor. His name is Prophet Blvd. I found him and he was speaking about nightmares and the significance of it. And he was talking about, if God is giving you a nightmare, it's because God speaks to us through dreams, right? And that's something that I never really thought about. But I remember one of my viewers, when I was going through a really bad depression about like a year and a half ago, she sent me a message on DM, and she said, God speaks to me through my dreams. And I saw you in a fetal position in a corner, just crying and devastated. And I've never seen you in my life like that, Dulce. So it really concerned me because I always see you as like confident and vibrant and all these things. But in my dreams, I saw that you were just in a lot of pain and hurting and in the fetal position. And she told me that God speaks to her through dreams. And so that was the first time that I ever heard about like the possibility of God speaking and communicating with us through our dreams. And just what she said was exactly what I was going through. I'm like, how did you know that I was actually going through, like I was literally in a fetal position and crying and just going through like, just remembering my birth and just in the fetal position on my bed. And so this was like one of the darkest points of just my journey in the past several years. And so fast forward to now, and I was looking up this video of Prophet Blvd, and he was talking about how when God gives us a nightmare is actually a gift from him, because if he's giving us a nightmare to that extreme, so much so that is interrupting our restful sleep, it means that you got to pay attention to your waking state of consciousness. This is the reality that we're living in right now as we're communicating, we're up, we're conscious, but living a life that is so fast paced, and that's the lifestyle here in Los Angeles. It's very kind of like from one thing to the next, and it's always going. And every single day of my life, it's just so fast from one thing to the next, so fast. So, and that's the energy here of Los Angeles. And so it's kind of hard to be really aware and present of God's existence in your day-to-day life when you're so focused on this external world. And so there's always all of these messages that I feel like God is communicating with us through, like throughout the whole day, he's sending us messages of like, pay attention to this. You're going through this. You know what I mean? Like all of these little signs. But because we're so caught up in the hustle of life and this just fast-paced life that we don't really pay attention to it. So what Prophet Blvd was saying is that having nightmares to that extreme of like a child of yours not being on earth anymore in a very ugly and horrific way, that's something that's God speaking to you. And that's saying, hey, you're not listening to me. You're not paying attention. Like you need to wake up and you need to assess certain things in your life and learn to decipher and learn the skill to decipher your dreams. And it really got me thinking about, and it's also about learning how to pray and what to pray about. So God is showing you through the nightmares, you need to pay attention to this. You need to pray about this. So that was really interesting. And it really got me thinking about, well, a lot of things, a lot of things happening in the subconscious mind. And one of the things that really popped up for me was living my day-to-day existence with God in the forefront of everything that I do and not getting lost in what my ego wants, and instead constantly checking in, because I meditate every single day. And because I've been meditating, I've been able to really focus my mind so much more and go even deeper in my meditations. And this is where I'm able to, me personally, connect with Source, is through my meditations, have that single pointed mind that I'm able to make that connection and then tune in and listen, But I go through my meditations. They're beautiful, profound, and deep, just how I like them. And then I snap out and I'm back in my life. And then I'm moving and moving and moving, but there's still things that need to be addressed. So being more mindful and more aware is something that came to my awareness because of my nightmare and because of the praying and because I was like trying to decipher, well, where am I? What do I need to examine in my life? That's one. Another thing is being more disciplined with my spiritual practices was a really big one for me also, because last night I did not show any discipline, and I show a lot of discipline when it comes to working out, when it comes to my career. There's a lot of discipline and a lot of focus on these external things. But even though I practice meditation twice a day, sometimes the discipline is not as strong. And I feel like I need to be a lot more focused on God than everything else, right? So last night, instead of meditating, I was just kind of like not in the mood for it at all. And so I just got on my iPad and I was just browsing through like random videos on YouTube, and I just kind of like dozed off to the Golden Girls, and I went to sleep and I had the nightmare. But I felt a little guilty the whole time because I'm like, I should be meditating. I should be meeting with God right now instead of doing this mindless stuff that I'm doing. That's where the discipline comes in. That's where the discipline comes in. Having the discipline to meet up with God, having the discipline and being humble. Oh my gosh, humbling yourself, also humbling myself, right? Humbling myself is also a really big one, because God can show me really quick, and He has in so many different instances when I get caught up in a lot of things, that I need to come back down to earth and ground myself again and remember what's important and remember my journey and why I'm here. Last but not least, we're going to talk about embracing the season of yes. Yes, we are doing a lot of new things, and we're going to have fear and we're going to have doubt, normal things that happen in the human experience. But I'm really excited about the season of yes and meeting new people, trying new things, creating my own opportunities, also creating new adventures, and just stepping outside of what is comfortable and normal to me, and putting myself out there in a way that I'm able to understand people better and have a more diverse environment in my own life as well, you know? And one of the ways that I've been doing that also is just by learning different religions. That's the season of my life that I find myself in also, is just learning, because as someone who I grew up Catholic, but I never really questioned why I was Catholic until I started to get older. And then I started to question, well, why am I Catholic? Why do I believe this? And I started questioning everything that I believed in. It led me on a path of, let me understand a lot of different perspectives. Let me understand different religions. Let me understand their belief systems, what they hold as valuable. Let me understand their holy books. Let me understand, because I don't want to judge people and I don't want to have fear. Fear comes from the unknown. When we don't understand something, we tend to be afraid of it, right? So that's why knowledge is so important, because it really helps us with not having so much doubt or fear, because we're able to intellectualize it. Yeah, it's my season of yes. Say yes to new opportunities. You never know what amazing people you're going to meet. Say yes to trying out things that you've always wanted to try out. Say yes to things that bring about fear, that bring about doubt, that take you out of your comfort zone, that take you out of your usual day-to-day experience. Go online and look up like cool classes to take or cool events. Go out there and meet people, enjoy life, live life to the fullest, give love, be love. I know that sounds so corny, but literally that's what I feel. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, that is pretty much it for today's episode. It was just a chatty episode. I just wanted to connect with you guys so much. Thank you all so much for watching today's episode or listening on Spotify and Apple Podcast as well. Again, I would just really appreciate it if you guys took a second to leave a 5-star review and also a comment. Please leave a comment under your review. I want to hear what you guys have to think about the episodes, about the podcast in general, where you want me to go with the podcast, why you love listening to the podcast, how is this benefiting you in your life. That's something that I really want to hear from you guys, because I truly value all of your feedback. You guys are the ones listening to this, and I want to make it the best experience ever that I can for you. So thank you all so much for watching today's episode and for listening and supporting. Peace, love, light. I love you guys. Have a blessed and beautiful day.